wonderful Thanksgiving? I did. What an unbelievable game, right? I think what's more unbelievable is that they're 11-1. 11-1. That's unreal. They're tied for the best record. The Lions, in case you're wondering. The first half was great. Sorry, Peter. I just realized I got the Bears fan right here. First half was great. We were dominating. Everything was going well. The only thing I would have liked to have happened differently is score more touchdowns in that first half. And then the second half, it was like the same team did not come out. I don't know what the problem was. But the most unbelievable thing about that game was that it wasn't the Lions, it was the other team that found a way to lose. Like, I'm so used to that being us, right? There was the dysfunction, the lack of situational awareness, not being prepared for the moment, and somehow the Bears found a way to lose that game. Praise Jesus. Feels good to be 11-1. Now, I promise you, I actually bring this up because there's a point here. And it's relevant for us this weekend. Because Jesus says in our gospel, and he's encouraging us, he says, stay awake, be vigilant, be prepared. And here's the thing, when we're not prepared, bad things happen. And that happened on Thursday. It was clear the Bears were not prepared. They didn't have a plan for those last 30 seconds. We're grateful for that. And then they lost because they didn't have a plan. Jesus doesn't want us to be unprepared. He wants us to be prepared for his second coming. And so if we are unprepared, we could miss it or we could not see him. And so the message for us this weekend is this: to be prepared, to be vigilant at all times for the day that he comes again. So I've learned I need to set myself like a calendar reminder or alert that I need to avoid everything that goes on Rivertown Parkway on Black Friday. It is a madhouse. I'm coming home from a doctor appointment, and I'm like, okay, I'm hungry, and I don't have groceries, and whatever. So I'll go to Chipotle, which I never go to Chipotle, right? So I'm going to Chipotle, and I mean, it was like it was like the end of the world was happening. It was like, why is there so many people? And then you add on top of that the winter storm, the winter weather, and it was just a crazy area to be driving. And it's always sad when the first winter storm of the year, and you just see all of these different things. You just see a bunch of people sliding off the road, and my heart kind of goes out, especially I saw these teenagers who had slid off the exit ramp coming off of the highway over here on Wilson, and and it's, for them, it's probably just because they've been told. I'm sure their parents said, be smart, be slow. I can just hear my mom right now, slow is your friend, slow is your friend, slow is your friend. But nothing prepares you until you experience it. You only get good at driving in the snow is the more that you experience and you realize, I really do have to go slow. I can't go fast. I can't take turns too quickly. And so there's some people just struggle because it's just lack of experience. They're learning. But then you got people, no offense to anyone here, okay? Then you got these people that just drive way too aggressive. And I usually am one of those aggressive people, but not when it's winter weather. And so I'm driving to Chipotle, as I said, and there was this person behind me, and he was just way too close. And all I could see in my mind was, as I got to the red light, was him just going right into the back of my car. And so I got over into the next lane. I'm like, go ahead, man, more power. And he just sped right by me. I'm like, And some people just a little too aggressive, right? And then there's the You add on all the people at the mall, and there's just way too many cars, and then you got the winter weather, and then you got these phones, these things that distract us. So it's like a perfect storm, literally, of everything going on that could cause all of these accidents. And as I'm driving back, after I got my Chipotle and, trying to get home quickly so I can eat it before it gets cold, and I see there's the police patrol car in Wilson because someone else had rear-ended somebody. And the moment I saw the lights, I got very alert, and I'm like, okay, and I threw my phone in the back seat like no one else ever does. And I make sure my speed is good and all the things. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's interesting. Here we have this winter storm. What is it that makes us drive more safely? What's the motivating factor? What's that thing that's going to be like, okay, now you drive safely? And I don't know if you're like me, maybe, I don't know, but it's the moment you see the patrol car. Because you see that police officer, and the first thing you do is you check your speed, you make sure you're not being too aggressive, you make sure your phone's far away, and you just drive more safely. And I think there's a lesson here for us spiritually, because we're called to be prepared and we're called to be vigilant. And St. Paul says in our second reading that we should conduct ourselves in a way that is pleasing to the Lord. And I think we do the same thing when it comes to driving. We conduct ourselves differently when we see the patrol car. We drive just a little bit more safely. How would you conduct your life just a little differently if you brought to the front of your mind more often that God sees what you're doing? And I think all of us would say we'd probably live just a little bit more lovingly, a little bit more kind. We'd probably sin less if we just thought more often, God is watching. God is watching what I'm doing. And so, there's these three things that I mentioned in driving that can make us kind of slide off the road, and it's the lack of experience, it's the over-aggressiveness, and the distraction. And all three correlate to spiritual lessons for us this weekend. And the first is experience. How do we prepare ourselves for the second coming of Christ? It's by spending time with him, by going to Mass, meditating on the Scriptures, because you can't know Jesus if you don't learn about him. And so if you want to see him come into your life, you have to actually know him in your heart so you can recognize him when he comes. We have to have that real experience of the Lord in our lives to see him. And of course, there's a spiritual aggressiveness that is not good for us, and that's sin. Whenever we sin, whether it's against God or against our neighbor, it always harms our relationship, and it always harms our relationships with others. And so what do we do in Advent? We don't just spend time with the Lord and grow in our experiences with him, but we also repent, and we turn away from these bad behaviors in our lives. And then, as so often is the case for all of us, including me, of course, is this season we can get distracted. The busyness, the buying of presents, and all the things, the parties, all good stuff, not bad things in and of themselves, but if we get overwhelmed by it, we can forget to slow down and just be with our family and be grateful for what we have. And so part of being ready and being vigilant is slowing down and spending time with God and allowing him to reveal himself to us. Because if we don't slow down and spend time with him, then we're going to miss how he's present to us every day. See, Advent is a time to make ourselves ready, to be prepared. And so, yes, we think about all three, the three different types in the way that God comes. Jesus came 2,000 years ago, which we'll celebrate more in a few weeks. He comes to us every day in our lives, and he will come again. And so as we come around this holy altar this morning, as we begin this Advent season, my encouragement for all of us is to ready our hearts to be vigilant, to spend time with Christ, to turn away from sin, and to let go of the distractions so that we can see Jesus coming into our daily lives.